Alright, so we got the 243 spoilers, and you will never be able to guess what happens at the end of this chapter. Like, it is truly a great twist. Genuinely shocking stuff here. So coming off of the previous chapter, we saw the battle between Takaba and Kenjaku kind of come to like the third act of it, I guess you could say, where they both mutually agreed to end the fight on like a stage in front of an audience. This is probably a mixture of both Takaba's curse technique and maybe a little bit of Kenjaku's barrier manipulation or something, maybe more so the former. But coming into this chapter, we see that they are actually going through with this, and they're having like this comedy duo bit. So I'll just quickly go through this sequence because even Miyamura himself has decided to just skip through this because they're kind of just yammering on here and going through like this stand-up bit where it's almost like reminiscent of like a Japanese variety show kind of. But I'll just go over the highlights real quick. So Takaba and Kenjaku begin the comedy stage. Kenjaku says that he didn't have a dad, and since his mom was always busy, he got too lonely and ended up being an attention seeker. I don't know if that is like straight up truthful to his lore, but I mean, it's possible, I suppose. Also, considering what happens at the end of this chapter, I don't know if we're gonna get that long awaited Kenjaku backstory. However, it takes a dark turn in a joke, and they're making grandma jokes. Here's where we come to the part with Miyamura saying that all these pages are yapping, so he's going to skip the translation for now. But suddenly the atmosphere changes as both Takaba and Kenjaku go silent, and Kenjaku says, "Hey, what's wrong?" And Takaba says, "It's almost over, isn't it?" And then Takaba says that this was his dream stage and he doesn't want it to end. And Takaba starts crying once again as he says he doesn't want this to end, and Kenjaku consoles him. Takaba pats Kenjaku on the shoulder and the illusion ends. Back to reality. We see Takaba in white robes as he says thank you to Kenjaku. So yeah, this was essentially what Takaba always wanted. Like, even when we were first introduced to him 2 or 3 years ago at this point, when we first saw him like being that comedian guy, and we thought maybe his curse technique had something to do with Nanamis, he always just wanted to have an audience where he could make 100% of the audience laugh at a joke. Like, that's his his shonen MC goal. So I don't know if he's fulfilled it here through these spoilers. I'll be able to make more sense of this, or at least I hope I'll be able to make more sense of this once we get the full chapter, which I will of course review and release on the channel in the next 2 days, so subscribe if you haven't already. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Private Internet Access. Private Internet Access is a virtual private network, or a VPN for short, which hides your IP address and safeguards your internet connection through an encrypted tunnel. And believe it or not, Private Internet Access also provides a tool that can help anime fans. And I'll get more into that later, but Private Internet Access is also a tool that helps you with your everyday life. Because whenever you connect to the internet on a public Wi-Fi network, your data is at risk of being stolen. That's why Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection through their world-class server infrastructure, which makes your information shielded and bulletproof. You can also now use one Private Internet Access subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices at the same time. But that's not all, because Private Internet Access also allows you to access region-restricted content from all over the world. Guys, we all love anime on this channel, and streaming services are notorious for region blocking certain anime. But you don't have to worry about that anymore, because Private Internet Access helps you overcome these restrictions by giving you the option to change your IP address to one of their 84 countries to choose from, as well as all 50 US states, allowing you to gain access to websites and services that are only available in those locations. It's a great time to get Private Internet Access because Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 is currently airing. And if you already have Netflix like most of us, you don't have to go out of your way to get another streaming service just to be able to watch it. Because with Private Internet Access, you can just switch your VPN to Japan and boom! You instantly have access to all of the new Jujutsu Kaisen and Big 3 episodes. So guys, you can get Private Internet Access by clicking my link in the description. And by doing that, you're also going to get an 83% discount on private internet access. That's just $2.03 a month. And you'll also get 4 extra months completely free. Thanks, guys. Maybe this is Takaba getting his full his character fulfillment here, I guess you can say. Maybe not, but that's not even really the point of this chapter, because we're going to get into the craziness very soon. So back to where we were with the quote-unquote illusion ending. This is in reference to Takaba's curse technique, where he can straight up manipulate reality through his own imagination, but not only that, but also his opponents as well. So it's kind of like siphoning Kenjaku's own imagination, which, you know, we talked about last week, is insane. Easily one of the most powerful curse techniques in the series. And as Takaba once again thanks him, Kenjaku gives a big wide grin and says Takaba was super funny, which maybe is genuine, you know, in his last moments, because I guess Kenjaku thinks that he's won here. I guess Takaba is dressed as someone who is about to die or something. It seems, you know, ritualistic in a Japanese sense. I'm sure somebody in the comments will let us know, but I guess that's the whole twist here, because all of a sudden, Yuta arrives behind Kenjaku and slashes his throat. Kenjaku tried to use his other curse technique, the anti-gravity, as Miyamura says here, but more so just the gravity manipulation curse technique that he stole from the sorcerer Kaori, the woman that he took over to give birth to Yuji, and he couldn't activate it apparently because Yuta was one step faster. So before we go further, this is the insane twist, which is pretty satisfying, but almost a little too abrupt. And I'll go more into that once we, you know, finish off this sequence, which is going to take us into the end of the chapter. But this was definitely foreshadowed for sure, because what was it, like almost 2 years ago now, when we saw Akotsu's fight in the Culling game, like when he was in Sendai Colony taking on Ryu and Takako. I think it was like when he defeated Kuro Arushi, actually, he said that he was going to straight up kill Kenjaku. And I was like, okay, I guess he is, because it makes sense to me, since Yuji's, you know, final opponent for sure is Sukuna, you know, that leaves Kenjaku, the other big bad, for somebody like Akotsu, because if there is like a secondary MC to Yuji, it would be Akotsu more so than Megumi at this point, right? I mean, freaking Akotsu had an entire movie dedicated to him, even though everybody has kind of like a mutual Kenjaku anyway. But he's here now and he's cutting Kenjaku's freaking head off, and as Kenjaku's head is severed, he wonders how he didn't notice Akotsu's high curse energy output. And then he realizes that it was Takaba's doing. And as Kenjaku's head rolls off from his body, he asks Yuta if that was his plan all along, and Yuta confirms that it was the plan, since Takaba can't kill people. Now, the wording here, I think it means Takaba doesn't want to kill people, not more so that his curse technique can't kill people, because we saw him kill that special grade curse spirit in the previous chapter. So unless there's like some kind of weird binding vow on it that he can only kill cursed spirits and not human, I think it's more so just a morality thing at this point. But Kenjaku says that it's a shame, because he was almost there, but Kenjaku says that his will/desire will be inherited. So that is the end. We see Kenjaku's head just on the ground conversing with Akotsu, and, you know, as they said, this was the plan the whole time, just to lull Kenjaku into a false sense of security by using Takaba's just nigh broken curse technique, right? Because he just used his own imagination against him to manipulate reality, and yeah, he just couldn't even sense cursed energy outside of that. So great plan here. I mean, they should have probably did this to Sukuna, but I guess they have another plan for him with Higuruma and Yuji, which maybe we're going to come back to soon. But wow, wild stuff here. I don't think this is necessarily the end of Kenjaku, because we need to have him give us more exposition about things, to be honest, and we need to go into another flashback from the Heian era, or at least I really hope we get that. But As for him saying that his will desire will be inherited, I'm assuming that there's like multiple binding vows in place here. At least some with Sukuna, some with Urarame, and it's ultimately going to end with, I guess, Japan, or the population of Japan, merging with Tengen's barrier and becoming that huge, crazy curse abomination thing, right? Because that's Kenjaku's ultimate goal, and considering that it's been foreshadowed so much, it's like beyond Chekhov's gun at this point that it has to happen. So I'm assuming that's what he's talking about here. But also, you know, Kenjaku is technically just a brain, right? So I suppose he could just survive in that state. Like, he doesn't need to have a full body, right? I mean, we don't even know how it all works. I'm just guessing. But oh, and also I had this theory that I wanted to talk about, but I guess I can just mention it here because it might even just be debunked in this chapter. But I always thought that Kenjaku was going to use Geto's cursed spirit manipulation to take Rika from Akotsu, right? Because they talked about that in the Jujutsu Kaisen 0 movie. Like, that was Geto's big plan for Akotsu, and of course it never came to fruition. So I thought, man, that would be cool if it comes full circle and that it's actually Kenjaku that winds up doing that with Geto's body. And then that would be an incredible final fight for Akotsu, right? He has to fight against Rika, who's being manipulated by Kenjaku. And then I guess you can have that as a way for Akotsu to finally let go of Rika, which he kind of has to, right? I mean, I understand the whole story and everything, but it just seems like it has to end with Akotsu finally being free and letting her go, and vice versa. Even though it's not the original Rika, it's more of like a recreation of her or something. Not even sure if she's entirely like a cursed spirit. She might just be a full-blown Shikigami at this point that can't even be manipulated by cursed spirit manipulation, but we'll see what happens with that. That's pretty much it for this one, guys. Let me know what you think about this chapter in the comments, and if you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.